When it comes to pesticides, what are the biggest areas of entry? You've mentioned golf courses a couple times. Obviously, non organic produce. Talk to those, and then any other big areas we need to be aware of.
Yeah,
To me, also, if you're living near an area, a farming area where they're spraying these, you're going to be exposed. But I'll have you share your thoughts.
yeah. So I'll tell you a story. So I told you that Parkinson's and related diseases, some of them begin in the gut. And one that we think begins in the gut is a disease called dementia with Lewy bodies. It's one of the most common forms of dementia in the United States after Alzheimer's disease. It's the disease that felled the great Robin Williams, and it wasn't described in the medical literature until 1976. Dementia with Lewy bodies is not described in the medical literature until 50 years ago by a doctor named Dr. Kenji Kosaka in Japan, a psychiatrist who had a penchant for the microscope. And he said, I have someone who looks like the features of Parkinsonism and dementia. And when I looked at their brains, they had this misfolded protein, this Lewy bodies throughout their cerebral hemispheres. Because of Dr. Borkhammer's work, I said, what happened in the food and water supply in the decades preceding the onset of dementia with Lewy bodies in Japan? So I went back and I said, what can we find out? In World War II, we sprayed DDT to kill mosquitoes to prevent the transmission of malaria, and we prevented millions from getting malaria. After World War II, we started using DDT indiscriminately. And among the things we did was we sprayed it on the rice paddies in Japan. And the principal way by which humans get exposed to DDT is by ingesting it. And so it turned out that it was found in the water and I think in the rice in Japan. And when the Japanese measured DDT, which loves fat, this fat-loving chemical, it was absent in Japanese men. The study was done in men in the 1920s and 1930s. In the 1940s, it started to sneak up, 50s, 60s, and then it started to decrease after it was banned around 1971. And because the chemical is fat-loving, it's hard for us to pee out, so we store it. The only way we can really excrete it, one of the principal ways we excrete it, is when women nurse. And so they find the pesticide DDT and its metabolites in the breast milk of nursing women in Japan in the 1970s. I don't know. That dementia with Lewy bodies might have begun because of exposure to DDT and pesticides like that entering the food supply in Japan. We get rid of these chemicals in the food supply in Japan and the rest of the world. We get rid of new diseases like dementia with Lewy bodies. So there are other ways that we get exposed besides our food. We can be inhaling it, as we discussed. If you live near a farm, it turns out people who live near where paraquat is sprayed, they're not the farmer. People who live near where paraquat is sprayed, according to research by Dr. Beata Riss and Kimberly Paul, have a doubling of their risk of Parkinson's disease. And then my colleague, Dr. Brindy Krasnelson, this really smart geographer, and her colleague, Dr. Rodolfo Savica, showed that people who live within a mile of a golf course in Rochester, Minnesota, had a 126% increased risk of developing Parkinson's disease. Why is living near a golf course associated with an increased risk of Parkinson's? We don't know for certain, but it turns out that golf courses use up to 5 times as much pesticide per acre as do farms. And many of these chemicals could either contaminate the water supply, like well water, like we talked about earlier, or we can be breathing in these chemicals and giving you perhaps predisposing you to this nose or brain first form of the disease. And these pesticides are everywhere. I think in our book, in process of writing the book, I learned that pesticides are routinely sprayed on kids' schools and playgrounds. In the United States, we spray pesticides, many of which are nerve toxins, on kids' schools and playgrounds. And we have the audacity to ask why 1 in 31 8-year-old children have autism, why people are getting intellectual disabilities in increasing numbers. Diseases have causes. If we stop the use of chemicals that are known to damage the nervous system, that damage the energy-producing parts of cells called mitochondria, of which your nerve cells are rich in these mitochondria, we can create a world without these diseases.
Is it true that golf courses have special exemptions when it comes to pesticides that are banned for the general public that they can still use?
A lot of tough questions for a neurologist, man. I'll tell you what, I don't know. I'll tell you the two of the pesticides that get me most concerned that are used on golf courses. One's called 2,4-D. Some of your listeners, many Vietnam veterans were exposed to Agent Orange, one of the components of Agent Orange was 2,4-D. So we are spraying on golf courses today a weed killer that we used in the time of warfare during Vietnam. We're using a same chemical that we use to spray on jungles over North Vietnam. We're spraying on golf courses. Another one's chlorpyrifos. It's known to affect the nervous system of insects. That's how it works. It used to be used to kill bugs inside apartments in New York City. My colleague, Dr. Virginia Rao at Columbia University, found that children born to women in those apartments had the pesticide in their umbilical cord blood. And the higher the level in their umbilical cord blood, the lower the IQ of these children at ages 3, 5, and 7. And when she did MRIs of these children between 6 and 15 years of age, the higher the level of the chemical in their umbilical cord blood, the more structural brain abnormalities she saw on MRI. The pesticides estimated to have cost American children 26 million IQ points. EPA banned the chemical in 2021, but its manufacturer successfully sued to overturn that ban, allowing it to again be used on spraying on apple orchards and on golf courses. So we're allowing golf courses to be sprayed with a chemical that was used in Vietnam as a component of Agent Orange, and we're allowing golf courses, depending on the state, to be sprayed with a insect-killing chemical that's estimated to cost 26 million American kids, 17 million IQ points, 17 million IQ points. I just think we're paying a really, 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 really high price, or close to shrink, and we're paying a really high and unnecessary price so that we have really green golf courses. We can come up with safer alternatives to dry cleaning. We can come up with safer pesticides for golf courses. And we can create a world with these diseases that just aren't happening.
Since you made it to the end of this clip, I know you're going to love the full episode. Click here to watch. I'll see you over there.
This problem is all around us, but almost no one's paying attention to it. And we're all paying a really, really high cost for this in terms of cancer and likely Parkinson's disease. Only about 13% of people